how well could an AI, whether that's Google, ChatGPT, whatever, how well could AI build a commander deck that can perform at a pretty decent to high level? And I'll actually use this deck. So it'll probably take a couple weeks before the deck actually comes in. But the whole goal is, let's go on Google or ChatGPT, whichever. Well, in this case, it's going to be Google Gemini, because I've actually started a chat and I'll explain the concept, the rules that I have set in place. So that way we can build out a deck, and then in a couple weeks we can revisit and see how well it actually performs. And we can just review it at the end. We're going to build the entire thing out in Architect. I've already put a lot of stuff in there so far. So let's go ahead and go through that. How well could an AI build a commander deck that can function at a pretty mid to high level in most cases? My only rules is that we can give 5 different alterations. Like if we see something in the deck, there can be 5 human corrections, like, no, this needs to be in the deck, this needs to be in the deck, right? That's the only thing we can do. If Google is suggesting something, we can question it as many times as we like. Okay, we can give some questions, but for the most part, we want to have the AI do all the deep thinking. We want to have the AI come up with the whole concept, you know. We just gives it a certain amount of direction. Like I said, we can only do 5 alterations to what it says, and that's it. Like 5 alterations throughout the whole experiment. So what I have gone with right now is, I have a lot of decks on Architect. Okay, I have a ton of decks on Architect. I wanted to build an all elf deck or an elf tribal deck. So an all tribal deck means 75% to 100% of the cards are elf or elf themed, and that's what I wanted to go with. I don't have one personally yet, so I was like, fuck it, I want to build an elf deck, and I wanted the deck to be mono green or either black and green, which is Golgari. This is what I have opened up the prompt with. I said, what are some incredible commanders for an elf tribal deck, either black and green or mono green? They responded with, for Golgari or mono green elf tribal decks, the absolute premier choices depend on whether you want to flood the board, generate infinite mana, or weaponize your graveyard. Top Golgari black and green commanders: Lathril, Blade of Elves, which I didn't even look at. You can click on it. This is why I wanted to go with Google, because you can click on it and it'll give you the examples of who they are. Lathril, Blade of Elves shows us exactly who this is. It's going to open up the link. Boom, Lathril, Blade of Elves right here. Elf Noble. I've heard about this. I know it's a really good card. We might be able to just put this in the deck, because this isn't the commander we end up going with. Okay, Blade of Elves deals combat damage to any player. Create that many 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. That's a really good card, right? Tap 10 untapped elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life and you gain 10 life. Really good. However, that's not what we're going for. I nudged it around Abominations of Llanowar, as well as a different card that I just really love the printing of. As you can see, I'll end up responding here with Savra, because like I said, I was thinking of Savra or Abomination of Llanowar. Those are cards that I've personally been interested in myself on building a deck around. So again, back to what it said. Lathril, Blade of Elves, the gold standard for Golgari. She creates elf tokens whenever she deals combat damage. I was kind of wanting to get around just like, oh, I have to do combat damage. I have enough decks that play that way. So I was kind of like nudging it in a different direction. Okay, oh, we have to do combat damage, blah, 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 blah. No, let's find a different way of doing some cool shit without having to just do combat damage. Let's not do that, all right? You can see again more choices here, and by all means, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like pause, go through the chat. We're going to continue the chat as we go on. I just want to show you where we've gotten so far, so that way you can see how we've gotten this. We have a little bit of cards right here. So far we have 12 cards inside of the commander deck. This is what we choose as the commander. And then we end up going with an artifact and then some creatures here. Again, we're going to end up adding in some other creatures into this deck, like the one that we just seen. and what else that we've gotten so far. So I'm just kind of explaining where we're at so far. This is entirely built by AI. Matter of fact, since we are right here so far, I am going to add in Lathril, Blade of the Elves, since that is going to be in the deck anyway, because like I said, I'm basically going to do all of the recommendations that it chooses. Lathril. Is it Lathril? Yeah, Lathril, Blade of Elves. That's definitely going to be in the deck. Even though I'm not really keen on doing combat damage to build up elves, it's still good to have in deck regardless, even if it's not the commander. Very powerful card. Tavar, let's see, what's Tavar? Tavar the Bellicose. Whenever one or more elves you control attack, they gain Death Touch until end of turn. Each creature you control has, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana that this creature produced. This ability only triggers once each turn, but each creature has that, so we can get multiple triggers of that each turn for each individual creature that we have. So that's a really good card to put in the deck. Tavar the Bellicose. So let's go ahead and put that in the deck. Tavar the Bellicose. Oof, a little pricey, but worth it. This is really good. I could see somebody building a whole deck around that. Holy shit, that's really good. Holy fucking shit, that's really good. And what was funny is I talked to a friend about building a black and green elf tribal deck, and he was like, most elves are green anyway. I was like, I don't know, man. I've been paying attention a lot. There are some really awesome choices here for black and green, okay? Some really great choices for Golgari. Again, just thought this was a cool idea. The classic aggressive elf ball finisher. He acts as a repeatable overrun in the command zone, pumping your team with 3/3s and trample while keeping them alive via cheap. And then this is Azuri, which, I think he might. No, he's not in the deck yet. But there was something else we talked about already. Yeah, regenerate another target elf. And for 5 mana, elf creatures you control get a +3/3 and gain trample until end of turn. So Azuri, Renegade Leader, that's going to go in the deck. Now again, we have 5 alterations that we can make to this. I might wait to use all 5 alterations at the very end, or do it as we continue on. Oh man, I do have Azuri Claw of Progress inside of a different deck. Like I have a deck built around that being the commander. Obviously we can't have him in this deck. I'm just saying. Azuri Renegade Leader, right? Oh, $20 card? Holy, oh, $15 card. I feel like I've seen this in a different printing. No, I guess not. Yeah, that's a really good card. So let's move on. See, we can have all of these cards that it's recommending as commander cards inside of the deck anyway, because they're just going to work well with all the other cards in the deck. So why not just have them there? Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on, was it Marwyn? Yeah, Marwyn the Nurturer. Add an amount equal to Marwyn's power, which would complement very, very well with Tavar the Bellicose, right? Yeah. So Marwyn the Nurturer. We'll put that in the deck if she's not in here already. Marwyn the Nurturer. $7 card. Pretty strong. I'm pretty sure at some point in here I'll have to direct it towards like a land package, because it's just like giving me ideas for like creatures and shit like that. So okay, we go back down here. I was thinking about Salver or Abomination of Llanowar as the commander, I won't lie. So we go with Abomination of Llanowar because as Vigilance in Menace, it's an elf horror, and has Abomination of Llanowar's power and toughness are each equal to the number of elves you control plus the number of elf cards in your graveyard. Pretty good. And it's a turn 3 commander. Now you could always just cast it way later than turn 3, but still turn 3 commander, which is always nice. I was just factoring that in. So it said option A, the combat juggernaut. Option B, the sacrifice control engine. Salver, Queen of the Golgari. This is who I was speaking of, by the way. Whenever you sack a black creature, you may pay 2 life. If you do, each other player sacks a creature. Whenever you sack a green creature, you may gain 2 life. Pretty self-explanatory, but I was thinking, you know, she probably works more just in general as a Golgari engine versus just being an elf package, like somebody that's there to like truly thrust the whole thing like forward, you know what I mean? So that's kind of why we ended up choosing to go with Abomination of Llanowar anyway, over Salver, Queen of the Golgari. So option B, this shifts your deck into a Golgari aristocrat strategy. While not a strict elf tribal commander, she works beautifully if you use low-cost green and black or black and green elves as a repeatable sacrifice fodder. Sacking your own creatures lets you completely lock down the board by forcing opponents to sack theirs. Would you prefer to win by overwhelming your opponents with combat damage, or do you like the idea of controlling the board by making everyone sack their creature? So I try my best to be very indifferent, so that way the AI, in this case Gemini, could come up with the concept themselves. You know, like I don't have to be such a benefactor on how the direction of this deck goes, except those 5 alterations that I said that I'm going to give myself. So asked me this question and I replied with, well, educate me first on what elf tribal decks are known for. I have both a vampire tribal and a dragon tribal deck, so I wanted to build an elf tribal, and that's true. I have a vampire tribal deck, I have a dragon tribal deck, I have 2 dragon tribal decks. I also have a bunch of other like just collaborative decks in general. I've gotten very talented, I personally say, with deck building. So I just wanted to know like what's a cool tribal deck that I could go with. You know, I don't know what elf tribal decks are known for. I've never played against somebody. Well, I take that back. I've maybe played against one person that has had like 1 or 2 different elf tribal decks, but I don't really remember that so much. I remember more merfolk probably than elf tribal, just in my local vicinity. But yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool if they educate us first, so that way it can help educate and inform the direction that we go. So it gives us the history, the rundown. Welcome to the world of elves. Since you already pilot vampire and dragon decks, you will find that elves play completely differently. While dragons focus on big mana for giant individual threats and vampires excel at mid-range synergy and life drain, elves are the ultimate elf ball acceleration engines. So I want you guys to, as we're going through this, I want you to kind of compare and tell me how you feel that the game is doing. Let me turn this down a little bit. I want you to tell me, how do you think the AI is doing with explaining things to me, okay? Because I think AI gets a lot of bad rep, but I think it could be a really great tool to help you with doing things. Even if you build something entirely from AI, I feel like you can still call it yourself if you give yourself those modifiers. Like I'm giving myself 5 modifiers, 10, whatever you want to put as your thing. For the concept of content, I'm doing a 5 because I don't want to be too invasive on what the AI is doing. I want to see how well it can actually build out a fully realized commander deck that plays and functions really well. So I do feel like AI could definitely be a very nice tool that people could use in the near future if you're brand new to building out decks, whether that's Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. Maybe you're just not into deck building, so you need AI to help enforce and move certain directions of your deck building. Like, hey, this is what I want to use as a commander. Give me some really great picks to put as creatures. Give me some great instance, whatever, you know what I mean? And then you could combat it on stuff. I've done that a couple of times. You know, I'll build a deck and I'm like, you know, I'm between on having this instant and this instant and this sorcery in the deck, and it'll give me good reasons, like pros and cons, as to why one thing works better versus the other. And a lot of times I end up not listening into it, to be completely honest. So that's why it kind of like sparked the idea of, well, what if I built an entire deck only listening to you instead of not taking your advice at all? Like, I consider the advice usually, but I never really take their advice. So I'm curious. Here is exactly what elf tribal decks are known for and how they contrast with what you already play. Unmatched mana acceleration. Elves are famous for being mana dorks, low-cost creatures that tap for mana. Finhorn elves or Elvis Mystic. Instead of relying on artifact ramp like Soul Ring, your actual creature base builds your mana pool. This lets you empty your hand rapidly and cast massive spells turns ahead of everyone else. So I'm curious on if they're actually going to include Soul Ring in the deck. If not, it might be one of those modifiers that I choose. I don't know. Number 2, it's go wide and token swarms. Vampires build a strong synergistic board, but elves flood the battlefield faster than almost any other tribe. Cards like Elven Ambush or Lis Alana Huntsmaster generate armies of tokens instantly, which I have added inside of this deck, I believe. Yeah, Liz Alana Huntsmaster, even though it wasn't highlighted, I took that as, oh, these should be in the deck. Elven Ambush, you can see that's also in the deck, right here. Create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token for each elf you control. I'm curious on how they're going to do the mana curve too. Explosive overrun finishers. Because elves create massive amounts of mana and a massive number of bodies, they don't win by chipping away at opponents. They win by using a hoof effect. Cards like Crater Hoof Behemoth, Azuri Renegade Leader, which we just seen that we added. Renegade Leader right here. Where they at? Right here. They get a 3/3, gain trample until end of turn. That's really great. But it costs 5 mana to do so. Which we should... I would think we should get those really quickly here. Or Finale of Devastation, which I haven't added into the deck. To suddenly give your entire army +10 and trample out of nowhere. We can add those in here now. Let's see. Finale of Devastation. Those are expensive cards though. Finale of Devastation. That's a very expensive card, $70 off the rip. You know, I don't know if there's any cheaper printings. No, not really. It's not looking like it. Which I might have to say, I might not want to spend a whole fuck ton of money on it, but we'll see. You search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with a mana value of X or less, put it into the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control is 10 or more. Oh, if X is 10 or more, creatures you control get a +XX and gain haste until end of turn. And then I'm assuming you're supposed to pair that with Crater Hoof Behemoth, because obviously Crater Hoof Behemoth is a 7, or it's an 8. When this creature enters, creatures you control gain trample and get an XX until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. I personally don't think we need to have both of them in it. Search your library or graveyard for a creature with a mana value X or less. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +XX until end of turn. If the creature is 10 or more. I don't even think we are going to end up having a creature put in here. I wouldn't count that as one of my modifications because it's not saying that we need to add this in here. That's kind of just like, okay, we're going to add that in there, right? We're just choosing to add that in there. To suddenly give your entire... Yeah, so I would say that we don't need Finale Devastation. It is a little expensive. So we're just going to take that out. We'll keep Crater Hoof Behemoth in there for now. But that's just because I know what it ends up saying we should add in later down the road. Like I said, we're just reading this before we continue on with this. I wanted to give you guys where some of this is coming from, some of the baseline, and then we're going to continue with new shit in this, in this video right here. Why Abomination fits this better than Savra. If you want that authentic explosive elf tribal experience, Abomination of Llanowar is the clear choice. It rewards you directly for having a massive count of elves. Savra, on the other hand, wants you to constantly murder your own creatures for control, which completely stops the classic elf boss snowball effect from happening. Knowing how elves naturally want to play, does the explosive high mana swarm Abomination sounds more exciting to you, or do you still like the idea of Savra grindy sacrifice control style? If you go with Abomination, would you want to focus heavily on graveyard recursion / self-mill to pump his power up quickly? And I responded, before responding to that, I said, so if I use Craterhoof Behemoth or Azuri, etc., wouldn't it not count as elf tribal because they aren't elves? Azuri Renegade, told me that's actually an elf, so he counts perfectly. Craterhoof Behemoth is a beast, but running a few non-elf utility cards doesn't disqualify your deck from being tribal. It used Facebook as a contribution to saying that. Now we can fact check this and see if that's true or not. What do you guys believe down in the comments below? Okay, it's sending me here. Let's see, is it gonna actually bring us to this page or not? Is a non-elf creature in an elf tribal deck still tribal? So if I make an elf tribal deck and I put a creature in it that's not an elf, is it not an elf deck anymore? This came up in a game. I was just wondering y'all's opinions. Okay. So this makes sense, but the guy thought because I played a Hydra, it isn't tribal anymore. Some creature types need other creatures for a little bit of help. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, my wife has Vigor and Craterhoof for a reason, but it's only 2 copies of each. Her elf deck has 75 cards and 20 are land, and she... Okay, yeah. 33% of the non-land cards needed to be of the chosen type or have the type in the rules text. 33%? Okay, so that's the... Are they saying that's the definition? This is from 8 years ago. I don't know if this has changed. Any tribal deck is going to have some utility creatures out of tribe. As long as the focus and most interactions involve that creature type, then you're probably fine. A Craterhoof isn't ruining your elf deck. It's basically a huge anthem / win con on a creature. That makes sense to me. As is any X-cost Hydra, in my opinion. Exactly. I just use Craterhoof because it's a common win con for elf ball strats. Okay, it's common, boom, whatever. Craterhoof, Sage Behemoth, Simio are all perfectly acceptable non-elf creatures. It's okay, cool. Craterhoof, let's do Sage Behemoth. Let's copy and paste that. I actually don't know what that is, so let's copy. Let's paste that in the quick add real quick and see what comes up. Sage Behemoth. As long as Sage Behemoth is attacking, for each creature you control, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. That's actually really good. That's actually really fucking good. Holy crap. As long as Sage Behemoth is attacking, for each creature you control, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So even if it is blocked, you can say, I'm still gonna assign the combat damage to you. That's really good. I don't know if having both of them in the game is worth it, especially if Craterhoof Behemoth is already there. That's just literally being like pumping up. So that's, I don't know if that's what you want to do. Hey, what's going on, Chop? Appreciate you coming through. How's it going? So let's go back over to this list over here. Sky Shroud, Poacher, and Wire Symbiote. Again, we just want to see what these are. Not saying those are going to stay in the deck, if I'm going to be honest. So let's see. Skyward Poachers, Rebel, search your library for an elf card, put that card into play, so put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. That's great. We're gonna keep that in the deck. What's going on? We are building right now an entire deck for Magic the Gathering with only AI and just recommendations from that and its sources, and seeing how well that holds up against, you know, if somebody was to actually build a deck. I mean, I know how to build a lot of decks. React to your song? Probably not now, if I'm gonna be completely honest. You know, we're inside of like this segment right now. But if you do link it, I might have a chance to do that maybe in tomorrow's stream or something. I don't mind. That's something I'm against. Wire symbiote. Where is that at? Wire. Oh, here we go. Wirewood symbiote. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate only once each turn. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate only once each turn. Don't know exactly how that would work. Return an elf to my hand. Like, what elves get a benefit of entering? Okay, that's actually good. Wirewood symbiote works very well with Shaman of the Pack. So if that's on the field, I could see that working very well. We could do that. Are there any other ETBs that we have at the moment? Don't know. We're gonna move him over to the maybe board. There we go. Move him over to the maybe board, because right now we're kind of like going towards the Crater of Behemoth side of things. Although I really do see this being something we end up adding into the deck at some point. It is really good and it has hexproof. Very expensive. Not like the card itself, like just 7 costs. Yeah, I mean, it's 7 costs versus the 8 costs. Fuck it, you know, we'll put it in the deck. We'll put it in the deck. Fuck it. Why not? We'll have both of them in the deck for now. Why not? It's not gonna happen. Anyways, Els is just a tribe. It's a frame of mind. Oh, I like that. It's got to happen sometimes. Anyways, Els is more than just a tribe. It's a frame of mind. We're gonna keep that sentiment. Elves are more than just a tribe. It's a frame of mind. Decks are considered tribal if they have more than 12 creatures. Decks are considered tribal if they have more than 12 creatures and at least 75% of them share a tribe, according to EDH Rec. Okay, so there we go. We have the exact definition there, according to EDH Rec. So we're gonna close this out. We're back over here. Cool. But running a few non-elf utility cards doesn't disqualify in Commander. Tribal is roughly 75%. EDH Rec is what is going. That's off of Reddit. So it's saying, would you prefer to keep your creature list 100% strictly elves for flavor reasons? If you build around Abomination of Llanowar, I can show you some incredible cards that can fill your graveyard with elves to make him massive. And then right here, I said, what do you recommend? I wasn't very specific, but I was saying, like, what do you recommend in terms of like, okay, boom, keeping it 100% or 75? Because again, I want the AI to make all the huge definitive answers here. I highly recommend Abomination of Llanowar for your first elf deck. Whatever, that's cool. Building it delivers the classic fast-paced high mana elf ball experience you want from the tribe, while offering a unique Golgari graveyard twist that makes it highly resilient compared to standard mono green elf builds. Step-by-step build strategy for Abomination: deploy the Mana Dork Foundation, which I've done. I put these cards in there. Self-mill and graveyard setup. Did I put this in here yet? Grizzly. Yep, I have. Real top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card, land card. You may put a creature or land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into the graveyard. Herald unites the elves. Mills cards, reanimates an elf, and builds it buffs your team. We have that in there. Mill 3 cards, you may put an elf or Tavar card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. Put a 1/1 counter on each elf you control. Whenever an elf you control attacks this turn, target creature an opponent controls gets a -1/1 until end of turn, which should build out really well if we're building like a huge army of elves, right? Then they'll just get a lot of -1/1s, maybe kill creatures. Secure secret win conditions. Jared Golgari Lynchlord, he's in the deck. Shaman of the Pack, also in the deck. Enters battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. If we control a lot of elves, they're losing a fuck ton of life. This is sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. That could work, especially if I have Craterhoof Behemoth on the field already. Attack a swamp and a forest. Return Jared from your graveyard to your hand. All right. So we're coming up close to like the ending of where I left off with this. Thanks, I'm adding all of those into the deck now. However, when I initially asked what do you recommend, I meant all elves or 75% elves. LOL, I'm essentially letting you build out the deck and I'm taking your recommendations. So this is the first time I've told the AI you're building the deck. So now it responded to that by saying, I highly recommend going 75% elf ratio. While 100% strict elf deck is incredible flavor forward, restricting yourself entirely means you miss out on a few non-elf utility cards or creatures that elevate the Golgari graveyard deck from good to unstoppable. Keeping about 25% of your creature slots open for utility beast, demons, or shamans gives your elves the exact support they need to thrive. Since you've given me a green light to lead the build, let's establish the absolute best non-elf utility creatures to include alongside your massive elf package, followed by a core legendary elves that will form the backbone of the deck. The powerhouse non-elf, the 25%. Craterhoof Behemoth, we just put that in the deck. Beast Whisperer. Though a centaur, I don't know where it gets centaur from, but it is whatever. Beast Whisperer, we can put that in the deck if we haven't already. Beast Whisperer, did I put that in the deck already? I don't remember. No, we didn't. Beast Whisperer, here we go. Beast Whisperer, here we go. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. It's a good draw engine. Simple as enough. And it's also an elf. It's an elf druid. Eternal Witness. A human shaman that grabs any card from your graveyard and puts it into your hand upon entering the battlefield. It is crucial for recovering a key spell that you accidentally milled or that an opponent countered. That's also really well. Especially if you counter or if you mill out... excuse me. If you mill out like a Craterhoof or something like that, that's really cool to put in your hand. Now you just gotta get it out. And I guess technically, since it is black, I could put a Bolas Citadel in this. I might do that. I have lots of copies anyways. But anyways, moving forward. When Eternal enters the battlefield, you may return a target creature from your graveyard to your hand. So we're gonna put Eternal Witness inside of this deck. Eternal Witness. Mire Triton, a cheap zombie merfolk. Wow, a merfolk that mills 2 cards when it enters the battlefield and has Death Touch. It acts as an early blocker to protect your life total while immediately feeding your commander. A cheap zombie merfolk that mills 2 cards when it enters. Yeah, protects the commander, protects your life total. Don't know. You mill 2 cards and you gain 2 life. You know what? Because I'm letting it lead the charge on this, that might be one of the ones that I flag down. Triton? Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm gonna flag this as... Let me make a new color for this real quick. Well, I'll just mark it red for the sake of the video. It's easy. Yeah, easier to just do that. I'll just be like, don't know, might not, you know, because I don't really know if we need that type of a blocker, like a little cheap blocker type of a vibe, but we'll put it there just in case. The legendary elf lieutenants to 75%. To keep the theme strong and powerful, these are heavy hitting elves that belong in your main deck to support Abomination. Lathril, Blade of the Elves, we put her into the deck already. We put them into the deck just now. Merwin the Nurturer, Missouri Renegade Leader, we just put them into the deck as well. These are traditional lords that give all your elves 1/1s while tapping to add massive amounts of green mana to your pool. Now that we have a clear direction with the 75 elf ratio, would you like to move on to selecting sorceries and instants that will help you self-mill and control the board? Alternatively, we can look at the land package to make sure your dual and tri-lands enter untapped. So let's come in here. Let's see. I would like to continue with the 75% elf ratio before moving on to sorceries and instants and or lands. Let's do that. Boom. Let's lock in the rest of the creature package to cement that 75% elf ratio. A standard commander deck runs roughly 35 to 40 creatures total. Not always. That's not off to a great start. Not always, if I'm gonna be honest. Might have to put my foot down on that one. Here are the essential cards to complete the creature base, broken down by their mechanical jobs in the deck. The Graveyard Fuel Elves. Skemfar Shadow Sage. Elf Cleric, okay. When Skemfar Shadow Sage enters the battlefield, choose one. Each opponent loses X life, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in common. You gain X life, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in common. Oh, that's really good. I like that. Skemfar Shadow Sage. I like that. Wow. Like I said, I'm genuinely going to be using these cards. This deck. Thorn of the Glade. Elf Scout. When it enters, you choose either drain your opponents, gain life, acts like a secondary shaman of the pack. Shaman of the pack? What's Shaman of the Pack again? I can't remember. Shaman of the Pack. Acts as a secondary one when Shaman enters battlefield, opponent loses. Okay, yeah, it does. It does. All right, let's look at this one. Mira, Thorn of the Glade. Whenever Mira, Thorn of the Glade, or another elf you control dies, you may pay 1 and 1 life. If you do, draw a card. Partner. You can have 2 commanders if both have a partner. Okay, a little weaker, but this elf is your board wipe insecure. Oh, insurance. Whenever she or another elf you control dies, you may pay 1 mana and 1 life to draw a card. This ensures a whiteboard completely refills your hand. That's actually very smart. I like that idea. Like that idea a lot, as long as I have open mana. As long as I have open mana. All right, let's go to this one. An elf shaman that immediately mills 3 cards upon entering the battlefield. It builds your graveyard to pump your commander while letting you put a land from your graveyard back on top of your library if you missed a land drop. I will say, one thing that it keeps on saying is that I need to have shit in the graveyard to pump my commander, but that's not true, because Abomination of Llanowar is whatever's in my graveyard as well as on the battlefield pumps it up. So it's kind of playing the line of both is what you really want to do, and it's also protection for the commander. If you get rid of a lot of cards and then I play the commander, it's still really strong. You'd have to get rid of my entire graveyard for that matter. So I would like to see this go into a direction where I have graveyard protection, which I don't even know a lot of cards that do that. Excuse me. But I will say that might be one of this 5 things that I do to like steer the direction a little bit. So Glassspore Shaman, Glowspore Shaman. When Glowspore Shaman enters the battlefield, you mill 3 cards, and you may put a land card from your graveyard on top of your library. Cool. Now, with all the milling and putting stuff into the graveyard, I will say it should have a really good way for me to get stuff from the graveyard as well, not just buffing up the commander. That's something that I don't want it to focus on too much. Oh, Wood Elves, that's classic. Yeah, when it enters, search your when Wood Elves comes into play, search your library for a forest card, put that card into play, then shuffle your library. That's a classic. Definitely put Wood Elves in here. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Oh, this is a cool printing. What's this from? I like that. I really like that printing. I'm used to seeing this printing right here. I don't think I've ever seen anything other than this before for Wood Elves. Huh. That's pretty interesting. It's cool. When it enters, you search the library for... Yep. The removal and interaction elves. You don't want to waste too many non-creature spells. You don't want to waste too many non-creature spell slots on single target removal. Instead, let your elves do the dirty work so they can eventually sit in your graveyard to buff your commander. Reclamation Sage. When Reclamation Sage enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Wow, that's actually really good. That's all on if I can pull it. I guess. Everything goes on if you can get it, realistically. All right. No Mage Shepherd. Tap 4 untapped creatures you control, destroy target artifact or enchantment. This could be good if I have like untapped tokens. Well, I guess in general, it's not like I'm gonna be like super pushy on attacking a whole bunch. Since you'll be swarming the board with tokens, this card lets you tap 4 untapped creatures you control to destroy any artifact or enchantment. It is repeatable and completely dismantles artifacts or enchantment heavy decks. Very true. Elvish Scrapper. Whoa, okay. Sacrifice Elvish Scrapper, destroy target artifact. All right, we're back in here. Where was we at? We were at no Elvish Scrapper, I think. Yeah, we're at Elvish Scrapper. So let's get Elvish Scrapper in the deck. For target artifact, Elvish Scraper. Oh, white border. Okay, yeah, we have black border. I'll be right back. I need to use the restroom. Sorry about that, y'all. It's like that urge just like fucking hit me, you know? So it's 1 mana elves that can sacrifice down the road to destroy a target artifact or enchantment, and it's really cheap. Okay, it's a 1-drop, and it costs 1 mana to tap it and then sack, and I just destroy an artifact, which is very good utility. Token generators. To make cards like Shaman of the Pack or Skemfar Shadow Sage lethal, you need massive headcount. These elves multiply your forces effortlessly. Okay. Imperious Perfect. Other elf creatures you control get a 1/1, and you can create a... Okay, yeah, you're just tapping. That's good. You definitely needs to be a way to untap and tap for that to be like super useful, I guess. Yeah, I would say if they wanted to make this even more effectful, they would tell us to put Doubling Season in here, because that would double the amount of elf creature tokens that we would end up getting. But it might find a way to do that without having doubling season in here. Again, this is AI doing this, so I don't know. I'm already thinking in my mind, my cogs are turning, or like, what would I put in here? Okay, so let's do Imperious Perfect. Imperious Perfect. Oh, Liss Alana Huntsmaster. We already have that in the deck. It told us to put that in the deck earlier. Well, sorta. It didn't tell us to put it in the deck, but we kind of took it upon ourselves to add it into the deck anyway. So that's great. Yeah, so for the last one, a lord that buffs your elves by 1/1 can be tapped for 1 green mana to create an elf green warrior creature token. This is a passive token generator engine. Whenever you cast an elf spell, she automatically creates a 1/1 green elf token. This quickly spirals out of control if left unanswered. Yes, that is very true. I don't think we have this one in the deck. Other elves you control get a 1/1 whenever what is her name? Dwynen Gilt Leaf Dean or Dine. She has reach, or they have reach. Other elves you control get a 1/1. Whenever they attack, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. That is a massive game changer for this. Holy shit. Yeah, bro, that's fucking awesome. Underrated elf. Seriously. And the deck is not too expensive yet. We're at 32 cards. Another excellent lord that gives your elves 1/1s. More importantly, whenever an elf you control attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf. This keeps your life total completely safe during massive swing turns. With this creature, Sweet Complete, you look more. Would you like to move on to sorceries and instants to add card draw, mass self-mill, and board protection? Alternatively, we can jump into artifacts and enchantments that give your elves haste and utility. I think we should go into sorceries and instants. This is one of my 5. I will like to add, you don't have to go too heavy into self-mill or anything that fills the graveyard, because the deck thrives regardless. The commander will gain power and toughness. What am I doing? Tough? This. Either way. But again, I am letting you take full charge here. I would love to see an inclusion of graveyard recursion. How do you spell recursion? Did I just spell that? Oh, okay. S-I-O-N. Recursion. That way we make use of things in the graveyard to cheat them onto the battlefield in cases that we mill awesome cards that will help change the entire flow of the game. Once again, you are taking full control here. So I am following your lead. Before we move on, are you absolutely sure there are no other creatures? We should add into the deck. So that's one. We have 4 more adjustments that we can make towards it. I love that adjustment. Dialing back the aggressive intentional self-mill and pivoting towards graveyard reanimation as a high-value cheat mechanism is a brilliant way to play Golgari. It lets the deck naturally build up from casual combat trades while giving you the explosive ability to resurrect game-changing boss monsters for cheap. To answer your question directly, yes, I am 100% confident the creature list is complete. We have exactly 36 creatures. We don't have exactly 36 creatures. We have 26 creatures, actually. So did I miss some creatures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, hold on. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And then I added that one in, the other one, 26, right here. So we definitely don't have 36. It's miscounting. I'll address that here in just a sec. Now produce your board, remove threats, the reanimation slot, and cheat spells, graveyard recursion. Instead of paying full retail mana for your massive threat or losing them permanently to a counter spell, these sorceries let you cheat them directly into play. Victimize. Okay, there's nothing that shows us victimize. All right, that's fine. We'll just add that into the deck anyway. Victimize. Choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sack a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. That's cool. Animate Dead. That's a classic one. We already know what that does. And if you don't, I'll read it off here in just a sec. Enchant creature card in a graveyard. When this aura enters, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature card in the graveyard and gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield with this aura. Return enchanted creature card to the battlefield under your control and attach this aura to it. When this aura leaves the battlefield, that creature controller sacks it. That's pretty self-explanatory. When a creature enters, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature card in a graveyard, and it gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield with this aura, right? Then return enchanted creature to the battlefield under your control, attach the aura to it. When the aura leaves the battlefield, that creature's controller sacks the creature. So that's an enchantment. That's an aura. Living Death, another classic. Let's go ahead and do that. Living Death. Each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacks all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. I don't know if that's the right direction to go, but it could work if I don't have anything on the battlefield and I just have a lot of shit inside of the graveyard. That's actually really gas if I have a lot of self-mill. Rise of the Dark Realms, and it's pretty cheap. Holy shit, actually. Really good. Rise of the Dark Realms, is this the card that I'm thinking of? Put all creature cards from all graveyard onto the battlefield under my control. Yeah, that's a really expensive card. I'm going to change printing just because I don't really want it to be Final Fantasy themed. I have too many Final Fantasy themed cards. I'll just put it from Foundations. It's fine. I want the cards to like look like Magic the Gathering cards, you know? Board protection and flips. Green and black are great at rebuilding, but preventing your army from dying is the first place. In the first place, keeps your forward momentum unstoppable. Heroic intervention. The absolute best protective instant green. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. That makes sense to put that into the deck. Heroic intervention. A very expensive card. Let's exchange that from that printing. I think, yeah, I have a Zuko printing. Just because it's an expensive card, I'll probably keep it. But I would like to just have it like this. If there's a cheaper enough one. 18. Yeah. I have a heroic intervention. I know for a fact I have one. So I'm probably just going to keep that one in there. It might be the only card in this deck that has like a weird fucking look to it. Yeah, you know, if they're the same printing, if they're the same money, I mean, I don't know if they will be. No, they're not. I don't know. I was gonna say like one of these would be cool to have, but yeah, I digress. Wrap and Vigor. A fantastic budget alternative for 2 mana. It regenerates every single creature you control, keeping your elves safe from cards like Blasphemous Act. That's actually really good. Regenerate each creature you control. Holy shit, that's really good. Wrap in Vigor. Very great utility there. Versatile removal. Since your creatures handle artifacts and enchantments via Reclamation Sage, your spell slots should focus on killing troublesome creatures or wiping the board if you fall behind. Assassin's Trophy. Okay. Destroy target permanent and an opponent controls. Its controller may search the library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Assassin's Trophy. That's going up in there. Hello. There we go. Assassins. Heroes Downfall. Do I have? I think I have a copy of Heroes Downfall. Maybe a couple of them. And Toxic Deluge. Let me see. Heroes Downfall. Yeah, I definitely have some copies of Heroes Downfall. And Toxic Deluge, right? Don't I already have that in here? No, I don't. As an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. All creatures get a negative XX until end of turn. It's not that bad to put in this deck. I'll get value regardless. Board wipe that lets you pay life to give all creatures negative X is incredibly useful for bypassing indestructible and regeneration enemy threats. Explosive game finishers. I'm not putting Finale of Devastation in here. Legendary sorcery that searches your library for a creature, put it onto the battlefield if you spend 10 or more. Because I'm not going to spend 10 or more mana. I don't have anything in a deck that is 10 or more mana. You see what I'm saying? Well, I mean, what is it? It's, you can pay 10 for a card with a converted mana cost X or less. So I could say, yeah, if I spend 10 mana, then they get XX. So I can see why it's good in the deck. It's just an expensive choice. I might put it in the deck because it's recommending it. But here's what we're gonna do. Finale of Devastation, we'll keep it on the maybe board. So we're gonna put that in the maybe board right here. Hey, what's going on? We are currently building an entire Magic the Gathering deck with only AI and seeing how well it does. A commander deck. It's actually pretty fun right now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to we're gonna go to export deck because it already got the creatures wrong. Category creatures. I just finished doing reacts. And now I'm doing my second segment right now. So if there's like any recommendations for reacts, you're welcome to put it down there, and we might like follow and go through them tomorrow. Also, appreciate the react, the follow. Yeah, we react to music. We do all sorts of stuff. Where is my thing here? Huh. Interesting. Oh, group by type. I listen to all stuff. Like, I love music in general, so I'm not very picky. You know, what do I average listen to on a day-to-day basis? Probably rap, maybe rock, punk rock type shit. But like, if we're just talking about what I love in general, yeah, I mean, I love music, so I don't mind listening to like pretty much anything, if that makes sense. Yeah, we're gonna have to do color tags. Let's make this whole section. Oh, copy card names. There we go. Okay, before we continue, I wanted to let you know you were incorrect about our creature list. You said we had 26 cards, but we only we had 36, it said, but we only have 26. Here is the list of creatures. I will say not counting the commander, which would make it 27. There we go. One is alt pop indie pop and the second is art. That's cool. Yeah, you can send 2 songs of yours. That's totally fun. I also listen to music. I know this is, I mean, I also make music. I know it's kind of hard out here. Just trying to get anybody to get in here, you know what I mean? To get people to like listen into your stuff. There are people out there that just makes it really, really hard. You're completely right, and I apologize for that major math miscalculation. You have exactly 26 creatures in the main deck right now. To hit that ideal spot of roughly 36 creatures for a healthy creature-heavy commander deck, we need 10 more creatures. Let's add these incredible additions to perfectly round out your 75% elf tribal strategy before we lock the creatures down for good. Okay. Pinhorn Elves. We're going to put that in there. Send it in chat. You know, I'm actually working on a whole section of like what we could do. You're welcome to send it here in chat. What I think I'm gonna do is try to have people send stuff inside of my Discord, like reactions stuff. I'm working on figuring that out. Like, I think one of the best options that I could do is probably letting people send things as links in Discord in a whole section that says reaction or something like that. No Control, is that the name of the song? No Control. What I'll tell you to do is probably the best thing for right now, since we're still small, we barely, you know, we don't get a whole bunch of chats. What you could do is you could type in the name of the song put a hyphen. So name of the song, hyphen, artist name. So for example, if I was going to put my own song, what I would do is I would say love. I don't know. Let's say if I was going to put one of my own songs as an example, I might put understand hyphen Kenja. Like that, I understand. Oh, the song name is understand. It's made by Kenja. So if you do that, I'll be able to look through my chat records, and then I'll easily know, oh, I need to put this down and write this down in a note. We're gonna react to this tomorrow, or whenever we do reacts again, or something like that, you know. And it's easier for me to look it up as well, you know. Yeah, way better. I always think about that, like, as myself, when I ask other people to react to my music, or ask other people to look me up, whether I'm like going through the mall or something. You got to think about it, like, how would they type it in on Google if you're already unknown? You know what I mean? It's easier to just type that in, and then Google knows and YouTube knows, oh, this is by Con. Oh, okay, this is by this person. No, you're good for the links. I forgot that, like, years ago, I've probably set up something where you can't send links in chat, like, for safety reasons. But honestly, it's probably not that big of a deal. I'll probably have to go back and change it. Arbor Elves. Instead of tapping the mana directly, it untaps a forest. If you have an enchantment or dual land that makes your forest tap for extra mana from the creep. Damn, 18? Untap target forest? I mean, that could be really good. What was it called again? Arbor Elf. Hey, it's the boss right now. Holy shit, way cheaper than the version is. I'm working on expanding to more platforms. That's awesome. Yeah. Depends on your distributor, honestly. Yeah, AI is making some mistakes, but it is what it is. I'm trying to let it, you know, that's the whole point, is experiment. Let's see how well they could actually build out a deck. Could it be a viable tool in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I could train it, but what I've chosen for this challenge is I'm only able to correct it 5 times. I've already corrected it 1 time, and I'm saving it, basically. I'm saving the other 4 for anything I see are like massive, like, nah, this definitely can't work in the deck. But I'm letting it do whatever it needs to do. I'll probably need to, but that's the point of it, is like, could it build a really good functioning commander deck for Magic the Gathering if left to its own accord? If I gave it the commander and I'm just going to be copying and pasting it into a deck list to see how it ends up coming out. Add mana pool, L's deals 1 damage to me. This is another thing where I feel like it's not necessary to have this in the deck because we already have the other mana dorks, but it's going to be in the deck regardless. One thing I'm seeing is it's getting the pricing of these cards really wrong. On Google, it's saying it's like 17 or like 20 something dollars, and it's $5. An elf that taps to add a black mana, costing you 1 life. It's crucial for color fixing your Golgari cost early. That is true. We already have wood elves. Wait, looking at your list, you already have wood elves. Thank you. It already corrected itself. High synergy elf payoff, mid-game value. Realm Walker. A shapeshifter, so it's technically an elf. As this creature enters, choose a creature type. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library anytime. That's really cool. That's really cool. You may cast. That's cool. Realm Walker. That's got to go in the deck. That's a really good addition. How long have you been making music? Professionally or publicly? Realm Walker. Where did that just go? Cool. Realm Walker, Leaf Crown Visionary, a 2-mana elf lord that busts your team and lets you pay 1 green to draw a card whenever you cast an elf spell. That's actually really good. Leaf Crown Visionary. I'm not seeing a bunch of token generators here yet. What is Leaf Crowned Elder? Hold on. What is that? Leaf Crowned Elder? Tree Folk Shaman. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it shares a creature type with Leaf Crowned Shaman, you reveal it. If you do, you may... Oh, yeah, no, that's not going to look at. Timberwatch Elf. Target creature gets an XX until end of turn, where X is the number of elves in play. Woo! Woo! That's a good one. Woo! That's a good one. Holy shit. Again, not getting a lot of elf generation yet. I know that it's saying that we're getting those, but it doesn't feel like we're actually getting those yet. Damn, $200. Well Wisher. What's Well Wisher? How could they leave this out initially before my correction? Well Wisher's gas. Get 1 life for each elf in play? Holy shit. 2 non-elf utility powerhouses, 25 cool kit, Fiend Artisan. To finish out the non-elf utility slots, these 2 creatures offer immense protection and repeatable reanimation. Fiend Artisan gets a 1/1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Okay. Sack another creature, search your library for a creature card with the mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Wait. Sack another creature, search your library for a creature card with a mana value of X or less. Oh, I pay X. But that could be really good utility. I could say, hey, you know, I have this 1 drop that I paid for. I'm going to drop it, and instead, I'm going to pay 7 mana, 8 mana, boom, sack that creature, get Craterhoof on the field. What's up? I like that. Fiend Artisan. I'm still not seeing like a crazy amount of like value here yet. This is very creature heavy. Marin of Clan Nel Toth. Human Shaman. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's mana value is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. When this could be an entire commander deck by itself. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's mana value is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. I guess. Marin Clan of Nel Toth. All right, we have 35, and then commander makes 36 creatures. It's a lot of creatures. That's a lot of creatures. Okay. Now let's move on to artifacts. in enchantments, then do lands in then we'll review. For an elf deck, artifacts should focus on 3 primary jobs: giving your commander haste so it can attack the turn it hits the board, providing card draw, and offering mana acceleration that scales with your creature count. Lightning Greaves gives your commander haste and shroud for 0 equipped mana cost. Okay, Lightning Greaves. We know what Lightning Greaves is. Let's put it in the deck. I'll fix this right now. Don't want the Marvel version. This one is fine though. Swiftfoot Boots, you want both of them in the deck? All right, I guess we're putting both in the deck. That's cheaper, $3. I'll use that. Skull Clamp, the absolute greatest draw engine for a token deck. I don't feel like we're a token deck. I feel like we haven't done enough to actually build out token generation yet. The absolute greatest draw engine for a token deck. For 1 generic mana, you equipped it to a 1/1 elf token. The token dies and you immediately draw 2 cards. This turns your token generator into an unstoppable card draw engine. When equipped to a creature, when equipped creature is put into the graveyard, draw 2 cards. Yeah. Skull Clamp sounds fine. I just, you know. Really expensive. It's really expensive. Skull Clamp, Skull Clamp. Let's see. These are all expensive. Holy fuck. These are all really expensive. Oh, this is not that expensive. 8. Tarkir had one? No way. Kind of like this art a little bit more. Soul Ring. Okay, classic. I didn't know it was going to actually have us put Soul Ring inside of the deck. Got a Soul Ring in here, brothers. Umbral Mantle, an artifact equipment that lets you untap the equipped creature for 3 mana and gives you a 2/2. Equipped onto Priest of Titania or Mirwin the Nurturer while you control 4 or more elves, it generates infinite green mana and makes that creature infinitely large. Equipped creature has for 3, tap this creature and gets a 2/2 until end of turn. How does it generate infinite mana? If I control 4 or more elves? Oh, Priest of Titania, right? Hold on, let's see. Umbral Mantle. Yeah, immediately went over to a tier 4. Immediately turned into a tier 4 because of infinite mana. Holy shit. Okay. Priest of Titania. Add for each elf on the battlefield. Yeah. Oh, that's an untap symbol. Holy shit. The equipped creature has pay 3 to untap. Yeah, you equip that to Priest of Titania or whatever else. What else was it? Marwyn the Nurturer. Marwyn the Nurturer. Yeah, whenever another elf you control enters, put a 1 counter on it. Add an amount equal to Marwyn's power. As long as it's 4/4, you're good. You're Gucci. Holy fuck, yeah. You have infinite fucking green mana. What is our account right now? Yeah, mostly green. Mostly green. But we're still getting a lot of pretty good engine with the black. Phyrexian Arena. The enchantments will provide massive continuous value, keeping your hand filled, pumping your army, and granting invasion. Guardian Project. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. Since you're running 36 creatures, this keeps your hand completely full. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose a life. All right. They want me to have that. I guess that's what we're going with. What was it? Phyrexian Arena, right? Oh, I spelled it wrong. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card, you lose a life. On. Prowess of the Fair. Oh, it's actually a tribal enchantment. Wow. I've not seen very many of those. Prowess of the Fair. Whenever another non-token elf is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Now that is a token generator right there. Whenever another non-token elf is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may create a 1/1 green elf creature token. Prowess of the Fair. I feel like it's only right. It needs to be in this deck. Prowess of the Fair. Garruk's Uprising. I have one of these. It's in Spanish. Gives your entire team trample. It also draws you a card when it enters, and draws you another card whenever another creature with power 4 or greater, like your commander or a buffed lieutenant, enters the battlefield. Wouldn't the commander hit the battlefield first? And, well, I guess no, because it's always checking. Uprising. I'm really surprised they didn't tell us to put doubling season in this yet. I'm really surprised. 35 lands? Do we have? Okay. Because green decks run so many mana dorks and ramp spells, you can comfortably run 35 lands without getting mana screwed. Newsflash, I usually run 32. I have one deck that has 29 lands. Always have a good time with them. So, because green decks run so many mana dorks and ramp spells, you can comfortably run 35 lands without getting mana screwed. We want a mix. We want a mix of color fixing dual lands, utility lands, and basic lands. Color fixing duals, Overgrown Tomb. All right, let's get that in there. Overgrown Tomb. Go ahead and get that in there. Overgrown Tomb. No, we got to choose a printing that actually has a fucking price on it, please. Yeah, this is the cheapest. Yeah, cheapest right here. I have an Overgrown Tomb with the Secrets of Strixhaven logo on it. And that's Strixhaven Thorn Eclipse. I think that's what it is. Yeah. It's really cool. So, Overgrown Tomb enters feature type. Counts as a forest or swamp type, searchable for wood elves, which is really good. Because it's a swamp forest. As it enters, you may pay 2 life. If you don't, enters tapped. Undergrowth Stadium enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more opponents. Unless you have 2 or more opponents. I control 2 or more opponents. All right, so Undergrowth Stadium. Let's do that. Undergrowth Stadium. Like I said, at the moment we only have 4 more things that we can do to check the shit out of this. Woodland Cemetery enters untapped as long as you control a basic forest or swamp. Woodland Cemetery enters the battlefield tapped unless you control Woodland Swamp. No, Woodland Cemetery. At least that one wasn't too expensive. Llanowar Waste. A mana pool deals 1 damage to you. I feel like that's just on theme, very on the nose. Oh, command tower for sure. Sure, we'll have to change the art of this. It's a decent looking command tower. That command tower looks really beautiful. Honestly, needs to be some better full art ones, you know. Wirewood Lodge. Legendary land that lets you pay 1 green mana and tap it to untap any target elf. You can use this to get double usage out of your big mana producers or utility. It's like Timber Watch Elf. Wirewood Lodge. It has a lot of great concepts, but I feel like I'm seeing a lot of, you know, weird nuanced names. Untap target elf. But that's just a really good card. You could use that in connection with Umbral Mantle. Yeah. Enters tapped but completely exiles an opponent's graveyard upon entering, essential against other graveyard decks. Yeah, that would fuck my deck up though. Lucasbog. Oh, Rogue's Passage, easily unblockable for a turn, ensuring lethal commander damage. Passage, that's pretty good. Rogue's Passage. All right, let's choose a version that actually has a price. Simple, 79 cents. 18 forests, 9 swamps. All right, let's do it. I kind of disagree. Well, there are dual lands in there, so never mind. All right, let's make this 9. Choose, is that a decent printing? That's a nice printing. The Marvel? Ah, man, these are like such good printings though right here. I feel like. But keeping it like on theme, it would be nice to get like these printings or something. Something that looks like this. Like elf, wood, very woodland like. I like to keep a lot of my decks on theme. Oh, you know, something like this looks good. Yeah, this looks great. And then set 18 for here. Then we'll change printing. Song is booming right now in the background. Yeah, we'll do that. Bloom Barrow shit. Why not? So 35 elf, 35 land package that leaves 7 cards still left to be put into this deck. Now the entire deck is built from creatures. No, actually we only have 95 cards. Actually, we only have 95 cards. Here is the entire deck list. Number 2 adjustment. And I'll be honest, I don't feel like you did a very good job putting in very many token generating things. You even missed out on cards like doubling season, for instance. Again, I'm letting you build the entire deck, but I absolutely see the flaws of letting an AI take full control. Please complete the deck with the next 5 cards and or revisions. Here is the entire deck list as of right now. It's been doing a decent job. Let's get the whole deck list out for it. I'm still indifferent on the finale of Devastation shit. It's very expensive. Selected cards, all cards, 93. Oh yeah, because unique, the swamp, and yeah, whatever. No header, card type, da-da-da. Quantity, yeah. It's for the lands. All right, so let's get the whole deck ASAP right now. So that's my second adjustment. The criticism is entirely fair. You're right to call that out. Relying on an AI can lead to generic build paths that miss the explosive synergy you want. Leaving out major token multiplying engines like Doubling Season when trying to swarm the board is a glaring omission. I'll make sure we pivot hard into a dedicated token generating strategy right now. To bring the deck from 95 to 100 full cards while fixing this issue, we'll add 5 critical token focused cards. Additionally, I have outlined 3 powerful revisions to swap out underlying non-synergistic cards for premier token generators. Okay. Doubling Season is going to come into the deck. Oof. Going up in price. I know you might think to yourself, why Doubling Season? I spend the money on that versus Finale of Devastation. Well, Finale of Devastation is something that I don't feel like the deck absolutely needs, and Doubling Season is something that is a crucial token generator portion of this deck. It would be really stupid to not put it in the deck, because the whole point is building up a massive board state, right? And I have multiple Doubling Seasons already. I could just pull one from one of my decks. I don't use them that often, you know? What's a good Doubling Season art, though? Obviously, I'm not putting $1,000 down. I have this proxied in the Fractured Foil. And they need more Doubling Season art. This is the cheapest one, and I am all for saving as much money as possible. We'll go to $35 one. Again, 2 cards that are on the more expensive side, but I already have them. Except this I don't have. I'd rather save the money in terms of looks. All right, let's continue on. Parallel Lives. I forgot about Parallel Lives. Oh wow, that throws me for a loop. I forgot all about Parallel Lives. Ooh, that's a big one. A lot of money there. Yeah, there's no cheap version of that. Fuck it. If we're spending money on this shit, bro, we are getting one that looks cool as fuck. I think this one looks cooler. It just does. If an effect would create one or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. That stacks with doubling season. It absolutely stacks with doubling season. If an effect will create one or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many, which means that it will create 4 times as many. For real, for real. If an effect would be put counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those instead. Yeah. Expensive pieces, but those are useful. Actually, it kind of does more than just create 4 times as many because it stacks. Usually, well, yeah, I guess it's technically that, right? But if you have like something that's going to create 2 or 4, let's say something that's going to create 4 tokens, doubling season is going to make it 8, and then its parallel lives is going to trigger off of that, and it's going to make it 16. You know what I mean? So it stacks really well because you can say, all right, doubling season triggers first, then this, or whichever. You get to choose the order which it triggers. With a strategy dedicated to creating swarms of tokens, this enchantment gets its 7 quest counters almost instantly in a single combat step, permanently granting your entire board +5s. Beastmaster Ascension. Never heard of this. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on Beastmaster Ascension. As long as Beastmaster Ascension has 7 or more quest counters on it, creatures you control... Wow, whenever a creature attacks. So all you gotta do is have 7 creatures attack. You get fucking... creatures we can control get 5/5. That's great. Okay. Beastmaster Ascension. Where's it at? Oh, let's just copy and paste it in there. Oh, it's right here. What am I talking about? Yeah, whenever you control attacks, quest counter. Double checking printings right real quick. Ooh, it's an avatar one. I know. Obviously I didn't know. I didn't even know this card existed. It's probably crazy in a white and green deck too. Wolverine Riders. Wolverine Riders. And it's an elf warrior. Look at that. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. Now that is a gas addition. I'm glad that I used my revision there. Boom. $20 card. I believe it. It's really good. Yeah, we'll go to the cheaper option, of course. Definitely go to cheaper option. All right, let's move on to the next one. Circle of Dreams Druid. $30. Okay, creates a 1/1. Hold on, let's read the other one. Creates a 1/1 elf warrior token creature each player's upkeep, not just your own. Wow, that is true. It does say at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green elf creature token. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. That's really good. Holy shit. Circle of Druid. No, we didn't. Wow. That's a really good card. And a mountain for each creature you can fucking have this deck explode really quickly now that I'm looking at it. Like, very quickly. There's also not a lot of the stereotypical things in this deck that make you shuffle your library and like get like green cards, you know. Oh, search your card for a forest, search your... There's not very many of that the AI is doing here, but this is really good. This isn't this basically the same thing but a cheaper version of that one land? Fuck, what's it called? The land that lets you get a bunch of mana. Yeah, Gaia's Cradle. An elf Gaia's Cradle on a creature body. It taps for green. Yeah, and Gaia's Cradle is extremely expensive. Number of creatures you control, allowing massive token swarms to generate astronomical amounts of mana here. Revisions. Swapping out 3 flawed cards. To clear room for even more explosive token generators, we should remove cards from your current list that do not directly contribute to the swarm strategy or the graveyard backup strategy. Okay, remove Mire Triton. Yes, that was one I was hoping it would do. For Galotrim Ambush. Create X 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So we do this on attack. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-elf creatures. Hell fucking yeah. Galotrim's Ambush. Is that correct? I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Put that in there. Let's get this dude out of here. Fuck out of here. Remove Elvish Scraper. Sacrifice Elvish, destroy target artifact. Okay. For Ruthless Winover. Elf Rogue. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacks a non-elf creature token. Or sacrifices a non-elf creature. Whoa. Honestly, I don't know if I would remove Elvish Scraper in place of Ruthless Winover. It might just be a good addition. How many creatures we have? We have 98 cards. Put this in here. I mean, that's just a good card. All my cards are basically elves. Doesn't really affect me. Remove Hero's Downfall. Because I'm listening to what they want me to do, I'll do it, but I might do an overturn for my third thing here. But that's really good. All right, let's continue on for now. Remove that. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. That's kind of expensive. 3 for a removal spell. For each token you control, put a token on... For each token you control, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent. Oh, yeah, bro. Second Harvest. I forgot all about that. I have a couple copies of Second Harvest. Consider setting deck tags. Sure. Elves. And we would say token. Or go wide, token. Where are we at? We just added in Second Harvest. That's what it is. We just added Second Harvest in. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. Holy shit, I like this one more. And it's the same price. Now the deck stands as a complete 100. It actually doesn't. It actually doesn't. Oh, it does. It has 100. But if I take out the other card, then it's not 100. Like if I was to take out the card it wanted me to take out, then it's not 100. Are there 0 haste enablers? Now, since we're at 100, let me type this in real quick into Oracle text. Haste. Right? Let's type in haste. A lot of things come in with haste. Now, we're gonna filter this out. Black and green. Let's do haste. Let's do enchantments with haste. All creatures have haste. Oof. I don't know if I want to do that. I'd help my opponents out, but I have used it before. Creatures and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. Target land you control becomes XX elemental creature with Trailblaze. Life, you can play an additional land on each of your turn. Whenever or when this class becomes level 3, target land you control becomes a creature with haste. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, vehicle you control. No. Oh, this would probably have haste. Just, you know, taking our time reading everything here. That's actually not bad. Creatures we control getting lifelink. When this enchantment enters Earthbend, demolish your spawn. There's no way to give myself haste. Excuse me. Surely not that big of a thing without. Ah, shit. I've been losing track of time. I need to walk my dogs. Remember, I sacrifice or da 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 da. Yeah, I would say the only good haste enabler would be Crossroads. I'd put this inside of my maybe board. I gotta go real quick. I'll be right back. Gotta walk my dogs. Yeah, honestly, reviewing this deck, man, it's not bad. It's a little on the pricey side, I will say. They have definitely the AI definitely put it on the more pricier end of things, but I did ask it for like better token generations. Like I said, you know, we're reviewing things. We're really high on the creature count. That's one of the things that I'm like not very fond of at the moment. 37 creatures is a lot. I feel like we might be able to get more utility with, I would say, possibly better instants in sorceries. So with that being said, I would say I'm going to use my third interaction here. No, I really love the current outlook of the deck. I'm going to upload the entire deck list again for you, and I'd like you to revise another time, because I honestly feel like 37 creatures 38 if you count the commander is really heavy. So I think there's more opportunity for... I do have to take into account that some of the creatures in here have like sack utility value for the aspect of simply getting rid of stuff. Like there's some of them in here that are just removal. I think there's more opportunity for things like a Bolus Citadel, which we kinda already covered with a specific creature, forgot the name, and more interaction with tokens and the graveyard as well. For example, there's no actual reanimate spell in the deck. Actually, our interaction with the graveyard is fine. I think 8 enchantments is a little too much. I don't know. We don't have very many instants. We have a lot of enchantments. I feel like there's opportunity for more stuff. And more interaction with tokens, maybe. I think having 8 enchantments are usually too much, but it still works. And there's not that many instants and or sorceries. But again, you're in charge. So if you think this deck is fully well built, then I will purchase now and start using my new elf tribal deck. What are your final thoughts? All right, so let's upload. I'll put PS. I would have loved to see a way to give all my creatures haste, but the only thing that comes to mind is the enchantment that gives all players creatures haste. LOL. All right, let's see what it says. Third revision. We got 2 more left after this. Or actually, this is the 4th revision. We might have 1 more left. Dropping some of the lower impact creatures frees up space for massive game winning spells like Bola Citadel, better interaction, dedicated haste enablers. By trimming down your creatures and enchantments, we can introduce powerful instant sorceries and artifacts to maximize token strategy. The trim down cuts to lean into a more balanced spell structure will remove 4 creatures and 1 enchantment. Outdead each single target artifact removal on a fragile body. All right. Shaman. Okay. Mill 3, too low impact when your larger spells already mass reanimate. Okay. I don't think that's a good cut. I can just choose to not accept the advice. I will say, okay, removing wood elves, that's a pretty nice cut. Search over for a forest, put the card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. It's 1/1, 3, get a forest card. Do the other things say forest or say basic land? If it says forest, then that's still good. I can get my dual lands regardless. Well, okay, let's move this over to maybe board. Remove that. Phyrexian Arena. Drawing 1 extra card per turn cycle is incredibly slow compared to explosive instant speed draw options. Yeah, that's true. I'll take that out for sure. Yep. Ugh. There we go. I think these 3 are still good options. Elvish Scraper is... well, I guess the deck would perform fine with Elvish Scraper out. So let's do that. It's nice though, so 1 body, destroy target artifact. I'm like teetering on, do I do it or not, you know? I definitely think Glowspore Shaman is a good thing to keep in. I mill 3, I get a land on top. If there's a land in there. Plus I have ways to bring shit back from the graveyard regardless. And this is for sure a no-go. The tuning, 5 powerful additions. See, I just said this as a thing, but I don't need it. Look at the top card of your library anytime. Play lands from top. Yeah. If I get that shit off. Concordant Crossroads. Give all your creatures haste for mana. While it does give your opponent's creatures haste as well, you only cast this on the exact turn you plan to tap your elves for infinite mana or swing with 40 tokens for the win. Ah, that is kind of true. That is kind of true. You only play it when you absolutely need it. Crashing Drawbridge. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. That's actually nice to put in. It's cheaper as well. Deadly Rollick. Yeah. No, I don't need that. Additional cost to cast a spell. You may sack one or more creatures. When you do, copy the spell for each creature sacked this way. You draw a card, you lose a life. That's a good draw engine if I have a lot of tokens on the field. Yeah, it's a good. Next sits perfectly at 100 cards. I don't know about any of these, to be honest. We got rid of 2 cards, right? Yeah, we got rid of 2 cards. I think Concordant Crossroads would just be a lot of money to put into the deck. Let's see. Is there a cheaper version? No, not really. Oh, right here. This is the cheapest one, but I really don't like that print. Oh no, it's the same price. Yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it, I'll do it. Put what in front of that? Plumb the Forbidden. Let's do that. Actually, I feel like I'll overroot it. This will be my fifth thing. We need something with infinite hand size. I think we need something, since I'm drawing so much, that gives me infinite hand size. No? Thought Vessel, Decanter of Answereth? You mean Endless Water? Yeah, we'll do Reliquary Tower. $36 land. We'll do that. This looks fine to me. Now let's go through the ones that I know I already have. I know I don't have to buy the ones that I already have. I'll honestly probably just take a AA season out of something else that I have. More often than not, I'll probably take out a AA season that I already have to save myself some money here. I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't really remember having a lot of these, to be honest. Some of these elves, I mean, it's whatever, man. I do have a Crater Host Behemoth. So if we were to go after all the cards that we don't have, and we buy them from, like, I don't know, the 344 from Mana Pool plus the shipping. So if we get Card Kingdom, all right, let's say if it's all cards, right? All cards, cheapest printings of all cards, whatever, including the shit that I already have. What would this come out to be? Around 5. Yeah, 448.22. I think the deck could perform really well. But you guys let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. How do you think this deck will perform? How do you think it actually will stand up against other tier 3s or 4s? I mean, this is a tier 4 because of infinite combos, but it's only an infinite for mana, as far as what I can see. Let's see. Let's go over here real quick to the Rex. Let's go to combos and then included. Yeah, it's with Umbral Mantle and then Priest of Titania, Umbral Mantle, Marwyn the Nurturer, and then Circle of Dreams, or Druids. Yeah, Circle of Dreams Druid. So it's just infinite mana. The infinite mana is what really is throwing it into that next tier. I don't know. I thought that was pretty fun. You guys let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. How well do you think this deck would perform? Is it worth the money? I'm excited to try it out. Elf Tribal made with AI. I'm so curious to see what people say. So curious, because people love to hate on AI, but I think that if you give it a little direction, it could turn out to be a pretty useful tool. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there, because the world's a crazy ass place. Peace.
Lights down low, but spirits so high. Game controller in hand, ready to fly. The night's a playground where time stands still. In this cozy nook, let's get our thrill. Pencils shining bright in the midnight glow. Leveling up in a world we know. Laughing together as the hours drift by. In this gaming sanctuary we touch the sky.